England have played 2 one-day games out here and they've scored 350 and 366, and remarkably they find themselves 2-0 down. The batting lineup has improved incredibly, beyond belief in the last couple of years. Have the bowlers improved? Chris Woakes said yesterday on interview that everything in the game, in the one-day game, has gone in favour of the batsmen, and you can't argue with that. I'm going to talk specifically about Yorkers and how the game has changed. I've set up a box here where I reckon 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, that was your margin for error for the Yorker. You might say, well, that looks quite big. I'm going to explain why it is quite big. Remember now, they use 2 white balls, one at either end. 10 years ago, they used one of these, and by the 20th over, it was looking old and it was reverse swinging. And when it got to reverse, then in this last area here, the ball was dipping in. Think of Flintoff, Gough, Wackar, Wasim, whenever, and then your margin for error is a little bit smaller now because that ball is just going gun barrel straight. So all of these now have to come in because there is no reverse swing. It is gun barrel. You can hit through the line and just whack it. So there's your box now. The other thing that's happened is because of the change in the laws, umpires nowadays, anything down the leg side is a wide. 5 years ago, if you missed, there used to be a little mark here. As long as you were within that mark, you got away with it. Now, if you miss by an inch, it's a wide. So all these, you can forget about trying to bowl down the leg side. That has gone. So your box has gone smaller. Outside off stump, you bowl out there to Brendan McCullum. He will hit you because of his skill, gets his hands under it, hits it over extra cover for 6. We spoke to Kohli the other day. He knows that when they're bowling out there, he just subtly changes his back grip. We saw in that Australia game, World Cup game at Mohali last year, he just gets his leg there and flays it through gully for 4. So stop bowling wide. They're going for 4 and 6. How many times the commentators, when I was growing up and watching, the commentators used to say, low full toss, not a bad ball, very hard to hit a low full toss. Nowadays, virtually every time you bowl a low full toss, it disappears out of the ground for 6. So those low full tosses would have been landing here and you were getting away with them. Batsman skill, bats, smaller grounds, they're going round the park. The other thing is, 5-10 years ago, you used to land the ball here and used to get away with it. Not anymore. Batsman skill, Joss Buttler, Brendan McCullum, what do? They get down like this and either ramp it that way for 6 and 4, or ramp it that way for 6 and 4, or dill scoop it for 6 and 4. See, when you miss it by an inch there, that goes. So what used to be a massive margin for error, now look at what those bowlers are aiming at. That is why they're not trying to bowl more Yorkers. You miss that and it goes out the park for 6. What I am asking is, when you are trying to bowl the Yorkers, why aren't they finding the hole more often?